Hi and welcome to the Geek Legion of Doom. This is the B-movie review and I'll be having a look at the movie Red, Werewolf Hunter. So this is a sci-fi original movie starring Felicia as the title character, Red, also known as Virginia in this movie. And she is a werewolf hunter, as you can probably tell with the title here. Now this movie is very much feels like should be a pilot for a TV show in the sort of the same sort of vein as Buffy or Supernatural. Now, one thing I would say, even though it sort of focuses on Felicia Day's character, this actual film I would say is more of a ensemble cast, more of a team picture in regards to the werewolf hunters. So it really starts with Felicia Day's character and her fiancé, who are both sort of high-ranking FBI agents, or at least very good FBI agents in regards to their top of the class and what have you. And they're going out to sort of meet Felicia Day's family. Now her character's called Virginia. I don't know if that's because Virginia Woolf, to be honest, but there you go. Anyway, so they meet the family, and there her fiancé sort of discovers a body on the floor. Turns out he's actually a werewolf, and he kind of disappears when he eventually dies, and they have to kind of let him in on the secret that they're actually a family of werewolf hunters. And she's got two brothers and her grandmother. And it turns out there's a new werewolf in town who is kind of basically a one that can change without having the full moon. So we're told that these werewolves can only change within the full moon. And yet this new one showed up and he's able to change at will. Now apparently they've had a truce with these, like a pack of werewolves that are sort of more local. And they've agreed with these werewolves, as long as they stay out the way of populated areas, they'll kind of leave them alone. And the guy who died, that the fiancé discovered, was actually the leader of this wolf pack that this new one has killed. And this new guy is sort of inciting the pack to sort of abandon the truce and essentially teaching them how to sort of change whenever they like. So of course this can't go unanswered by this family of werewolf hunters, and they decide to sort of strike back and try and wipe out all the werewolves. In the meantime, Felicia Day's fiancé in the film actually gets bitten and is kind of having to sort of deal with the fact that he's going to become a werewolf, and we're told sort of in some exposition that so long as they kill the werewolf that bit him before he kills a human, he can potentially be sort of turned back. So really you've got the showdown between the sort of werewolf hunters and the werewolves themselves. So, you know, I didn't mind it. It's obviously a very loosely based on Red Riding Hood. Now, everyone kind of refers to Felicia Day's character as Red, aside from her husband, her fiancé, and he asks why do they call her Red, and we're never really told. We're told that every firstborn female generation is called Red, but we're not told actually why, which is interesting because it's in the title, and it's not because she's got red hair. I'm guessing it's because of the Red Riding Hood analogy, but we're never actually told that. I don't know if that's somehow been cut or if I missed it. Now I've got to say, for a sci-fi TV movie, I actually enjoyed this, you know, a reasonable amount. I think it was, you know, it's a fairly interesting story. I don't think that some of the things that it presented were explored as much as they could have been, but overall it was quite a fun flick, and I actually quite like the sort of the family unit that they have. And like I say, for the majority of the film at least, they actually act as a team, really, rather than sort of solo kind of Rambo-esque mission that played by sort of Felicia Day. However, it's not without its problems, and there are a few, and they're kind of some are sort of more logical things, and some are sort of more of a technical thing. So, for example, there's a few problems I'll point out here. So, we're told early on that the fiancé asks, how do you sort of determine who's a werewolf and who's a human? By a test where they shoot them with a kind of liquid silver mixture, and it kind of makes them partially transform if they're a werewolf. But we only ever see it used once on one person. Yet they find a woman in like the boot of a car, and they just assume she's human. But I was actually expecting her to sort of end up being a werewolf, almost like a plant. But we only ever see it used once. Another thing was that we're told that werewolves traditionally only change within the full moon, and this one guy is sort of teaching them how to sort of change at any time. Fair enough. However, when the fiancé gets bitten, he's not taught any of this, so he can only really change at the full moon. However, he seems to change pretty much every night. Now, I'm not sure if this is meant to be taken over. We see him change, I think, at least 2 times. So does that mean he's there for 2 months? or what? You know, I mean, the full moon happens once a month, so I don't know if this is meant to be happening over this long period of time. In which case, if they're FBI agents, people are going to start missing them, 2 months apart, or is it, you know, what's the deal with the full moon then? Because the full moon happens one night a month, not 2 or 3. I guess another issue that I have with it is we're told at the beginning there's this sort of pack of werewolves that are living close by near these hunters. Now, why don't these werewolves just move somewhere else if there aren't any hunters? Seems an obvious thing to me. You know, it's really a bit of a nitpick there, I suppose, otherwise there wouldn't be a movie. But if you're living next to a pack of hunters, and we're not told that there are any other hunters in the world, just these, we're told it's like a family thing, like a family curse or whatever. And if that is the case, why don't they just move somewhere where there isn't any hunters? And there you go. Another issue that I have is we're told, I mean, completely aside from the fact that Felicia Day's character is a werewolf hunter, she's also a trained FBI agent. Yet her and her fiancé seem to be absolutely terrible shots. We see a sort of a gunfight earlier on where they're trying to sort of fight the sort of the initial werewolves they come across. And they both seem to be absolutely terrible shots. Yet at the end of the film, Felicia Day's sort of firing these harpoon guns at long distance to these sort of oncoming werewolves, and yet she hits every single one. So I found that a little bit inconsistent as well. Another issue that I had with it is that the werewolf hunters have no automatic weapons. They use things like spear guns and just single shot pistols and stuff like that. It would have made a lot more sense to me if they were using, you know, stuff like machine guns, that kind of thing. I don't understand. I mean, they have bullets that are made of silver, so why not use them in automatic weapons? It kind of cuts like it's on a TV show. Now, it is a film, but there's a couple of cuts where it looks like it's going to a commercial break. When it comes back from the commercial break, you have a couple of seconds of recap. And I'll give you one example. We see the kind of the main bad guy werewolf sort of turn into his werewolf form. Then it kind of almost cuts, and he's almost regressed a few seconds and looks more human and sort of transforms again. So he's looking like he's transforming into a werewolf, and then all of a sudden he's back to sort of a bit more of a human, and then transforming into a werewolf again. Just like it's gone from a commercial break, and it's come back and had a couple of seconds of a recap before it starts off again. And that's great if you're watching a TV show, but it's just meant to be a film rather than a TV show. So this is what I mean. It adds that sort of that TV show film. Now, the other issue I have to say as well is I'm not actually a massive fan of Felicia Day's acting. I like her, and I know that she's like this geek sort of icon, and I do like her as a sort of celebrity, and you know, the fact that she's, you know, very much a vocal geek and stuff like that. But I simply don't think she's a particularly good actor. Now, I always find she tends to play one of two things: either the kind of like nerdy geek like she does on things like The Guild and like when she was in Buffy, or she tries to sort of play against type a little bit and try and be a bit more sassy, like she is in the sort of the Dragon Age sort of web series, and also a little bit like she is on Supernatural, though she's kind of geeky in that as well, to be fair. But I have to say, here she was kind of a lot more restrained and a lot more of a traditional character, so I actually quite liked her in the role. I still don't think she's a sort of a particularly strong actor, to be honest with you, but I actually found her, she kind of played a more of a believable character, I thought, and the rest of the acting was fine for this type of film. I found it perfectly adequate. It may seem like I'm kind of ragging on this film a lot, and there was more of just like logical and sort of technical things that kind of bugged me about this film. All the werewolves are CGI, which may as well put some people off. I don't usually use a lot of practical effects, and it doesn't look too bad, but you know, it's obviously CGI. Yes, it's a sci-fi film, so I kind of that's what they tend to do. It's a little bit of a shame, but you know, what are you going to do? But overall, it was a fun, entertaining film. I liked the chemistry sort of between all the hunters. I thought that was really good. Maybe they didn't seem like particularly professional, like hunters and things like that. But overall, they felt like a family to me, which I quite liked. I actually quite like the end of this. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but I actually quite like the end of it. I thought that was quite kind of went against your expectations a little bit, so I quite appreciated that. Now, overall, it's a pretty fun film. There are some flaws in it, as I've sort of detailed with you, but I kind of liked it. So I'm going to give this one a 6 out of 10. Having seen it, let me know what you think and leave me a comment. I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye for now.